sorry, I can't. I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't. Have this happened to you before? You are ready to face a challenge and then you want to run away. Your confidence shatters. You become nervous, anxious, panic attack. And it's like someone in your shoulder whispered to your ear the most terrible things about yourself. Something like, come on, Luis, what are you doing there? You cannot speak in public. You don't speak proper English. You can't talk in a TED talk. It's horrible things about myself. And when I look around, there is no one there. It's me. It's my own voice. And then I think how many times a day I tell myself these words, I can't. Think about it. Early in the morning, 6 o'clock, the alarm rings out and the first time I can't come in. I can't wake up on time. I can't make my bed. I can't clean my room. When I go to the diner to choose my breakfast or my lunch, I can't make healthy choices. I can't choose broccoli. It's impossible. I can't do many things I want to do. I can't play the piano. I can't learn to speak Chinese. Even if I wanted, I can't sing like an opera singer. I can't lay in the back of 2 chairs. I can't every single moment of my day. Luckily, for me, I don't believe in those words, thanks to my family. The first person who taught me about don't believe that I can't was my grandma. My grandma used to say, you can do anything if you really want to. The second person who told me that was my parents. But it's not because they wanted to believe blindly in me. It's because they have to teach me to believe in myself. Let me tell you a little bit about my childhood, not for you to feel sorry about me, just to understand how I beat the I can't. I was born in a small town in central Mexico, rural area. No hospital, no school, no coffee shop, no restaurant, no firefighters, nothing. I born with a malformation on my legs. Next. This was me. It's not a photo of me. There are no photos of my real legs. When I born with my legs twisted inside, something like this. My mom was very skinny, and I was very tall, so I have no space to grow in her womb. So the result, my legs were this. The doctor told my parents, sorry, Miss and Mr. Pacheco Munoz, Luis cannot walk ever because the position of his legs are in the wrong position. My right knee was behind my left knee. I cannot bend my legs. My parents luckily decide to ignore the doctor of the rural area. So they decide to make an agreement with my entire family. Rule number 1, everyone is forbidden to tell Luis the word you can't. Second rule, the only thing that can say is, yes, I can. So I have a physical problem. It's not like magical words. Yes, I can and I can do whatever. So what they did is they fixed me with the available technology they have in the town. So they put me on these things. 8 years of my childhood spent attached to these things to fix the bones in the right position. It was an obstacle that my parents decided to take on. So my bones were twisted in a different position so I can walk. Of course, I hate those things. I think that every child in the world have to wear them. If you have seen the movie of Forrest Gump, you know how difficult it is to walk with this. Of course, my first steps were like a zombie, not able to bend my knees all the time. And if I fell, it was a very challenging thing to stand up again. So finally, after 8 years, my bones get into the right position. So my bones are twisted on a different shape. But the challenge was for my parents to tell me or to teach me how to overcome those challenges. Imagine a toddler who cannot bend their legs. How you can teach him to walk? Of course, wearing those things on my legs, I was very heavy. I have very heavy weight on my legs. So if I fell down, I was laying there screaming for my mom's help. So I was something like, Mom, I fell down again. And her answer was always the same: stand up. I can't. We are not allowed to say those words. Okay, Mom, it's extremely difficult for me to stand up. It's like, that's better. So what I do, stand up. It's impossible. My mom gave me one advice, so she provides some help. She's going to introduce me a magical person who is going to help me. She called her Mrs. Need. I thought Mrs. Need was an old lady who worked for my parents, that she eventually will come and help me to do whatever I need to do. So Mrs. Need came into my life. Of course, Mrs. Need is not a person or a real one. What I learned is that when I have a problem, I have to call for her. My mom established very specific conditions. When you have a challenge, you call for her. But the condition for her to show up is you keep trying. So imagine poor myself laying on the ground with the impossibility to bend my legs. So I start calling for aid. Mrs. Need, I fell down. She didn't respond. My mom reminded me, Luis, you have to keep trying in order for her to come. Yes, Mrs. Need, I am in the ground. Mrs. Need, Mrs. Need, why are you taking so much time? Mrs. Need, oh, Mom, I'm standing up. My mom always said, oh, Mrs. Need already came. No, she's not. I did it by myself. Then she said, she already came. I didn't understand as a baby or as a kid that Mrs. Need was my own will to face challenges. She told me, Mrs. Need taught me a lot of things. I am going to find a lot of obstacles in my life. Walking around, I find an obstacle and I have to call Mrs. Need. There is something on my way. I can call my mom and she will say, call Mrs. Need. Mrs. Need, there is something on my path. Mrs. Need, I'm waiting for you. Mrs. Need, oh, I find a different path. Mrs. Need taught me how to look for alternatives, look my challenges and my obstacles from a different perspective. Sometimes the obstacle cannot be moved, very heavy. So I have to think how Mrs. Need is going to help me. So I have to think, Mrs. Need, the obstacle is very hard, very heavy. I cannot overcome it. So Mrs. Oh, thank you, she already came. She gave me creativity to overcome my challenges. I found 100 different ways to overcome an obstacle, going up and down or under them. Very easy to overcome every obstacle on my life. Mrs. Need never came to my aid. It was me believing on me. So, wait a minute. Let's go back into my day. Of course I can wake up on time. Yes, I can clean my room and make my bed. So, why I can't? Yes, I can if I really want to. So I can go to the dining room and choose broccoli because it's good for me, not because I like it. I can do everything I propose to myself thanks to my parents' help. They taught me that I will face constant obstacles in my life. So they make me believe, since I was a baby, that I was able to do everything I want. And I have shown that in my life. So you were maybe thinking, wait a minute, you say you cannot play the piano. Yes, I can. There is my piano teacher. You can speak Chinese. 我会学中文. Yeah. 我会学中文. Yes, I can. I'm smart. I'm not dumb. I can do everything I want. So that means I can sing like an opera singer? Let me take this out. Yes, I can. Sorry for the last note. So I can do everything I can. Imagine. So in my life, I have faced several challenges. For example, I find out that it's not me not believing in me. It's my friends. They said many things about myself. Let me give you some examples. They said I can't write a book because I'm not a writer. I studied business management. So what I did, I called Mrs. Need. I write a book, and I already sold 2,000 copies of it. It's a book for parents and teenagers on how to improve their communication. They said I can cook. So what I learned is I enroll myself in the university and go for 4 years to learn how to cook. No one told me it's going to be easy or quickly. Your challenges is going to take time, but I just remember calling Mrs. Need and keep trying. Also, they said I can have my own brand of tea. So what I did, I created and I put Mexican traditional teas. This is like how you can do all those things. Very simple. I do not believe in the I can't. I have a dream. One day I decided I want to visit the Mexican factory of bills and coins. My friend says it's impossible. There was a national competition where hundreds of Mexicans enter every year just to earn the right to visit that factory. Not open for tourism, not open for visitors. So my friends told me it's impossible. I tried for 7 consecutive years to try to win this competition. When I finally did it, I not only won the first place, I also won the third place. So I went twice to the factory. So every time I find a challenge, I have to keep calling this lady, Mrs. Need, and keep trying. If you remember, I also told to you that I cannot lay down between 2 chairs. So I will show you that I really can't. You can leave them, it's okay. So just like, so I will show you that it's easy to do it, and I'm not a superhero. I'm not very strong. But when I want to do something, I only have to believe in myself and do it, because it's easy, simple, not magic, not science. No, it's science. Sorry, it is. So it's not an illusion. I'm not very strong, so it doesn't require a lot of energy. It's very simple. The only thing, you have to believe in yourself. Thank you, guys. So every time you face a challenge and someone tells you it's impossible, just remember to call Mrs. Need. She's going to come and help you. The last thing I want to tell you is I want to thank my mom and dad for always believing in me and always saying, yes, you can. An advice for you. You are going to face hundreds of obstacles, hundreds of challenges. So I will give you this advice. Call Mrs. Need, ask for help, and keep trying. Keep trying and look your challenges with a fresh pair of eyes. Because if I can, you can too. Thank you.